Into every generation, a Slayer is born, a chosen one. They alone will wield the strength and skill to fight the vampires, demons, and the forces of darkness, to stop the spread of their evil and the swell of their number. They are the Slayer. Interesting, they keep saying they. I wonder if that means that the Slayer doesn't necessarily have to be a female.
I'm in love with a hero. I'm in love with the one who will...
Hello, comic book people of the world. It is Wednesday. We get a new rebooting of the Buffy the Vampire Universe comic book and a couple other goodies that came out this week. Let me show you what I got. First, Justice League issue number 16. The multiverse is starting to be addressed with all the different complications of everything that has happened in the DC universe, or at least the current DC universe. We find out a couple different things about the current universe, including the fact that the Martians and humans were once part of the same species. And it looked as though we were going to be having a battle between John Stewart and some of the other Green Lanterns, but they sort of put away their differences. Lately, Justice League really hasn't had a whole lot of good stories, but this is an exception, and I'm really getting into it. Shazam! Issue number 2! Even though we don't get to see the Marvel family in action, we do get to see their human counterparts go to a mysterious place called Funland. And Dr. Sivana is starting to make his big plan, which you know is going to play out in the long run in the background and come into a big epic arc in itself. Superior Spider-Man issue number 2. Dr. Octopus, also known as the Superior Spider-Man, versus Terrax. Terrax is a cosmically powered being and is on par with the Silver Surfer, if not possibly more powerful. So it would seem as though Dr. Octopus really wouldn't have too much of a chance against him. But Doc Ock is much smarter than the average anti-hero, and of course he has an ace up his sleeve. I will say though, he does get his ass kicked very thoroughly throughout most of the issue. Uncanny X-Men Annual issue number 1. This is the story where we find out how Scott Summers' Cyclops came back to life. I won't spoil the circumstances as to how he came back to life, but I will say that his son, Nate Gray Cable, or the younger Cable, did have a part of this, and so did the Phoenix Force. There's also another story taking place that has to do with Cyclops, going all the way back to one of his first stories, which I enjoy that is tied into this. So let's talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer issue number 1 from Boom Studios. When I first read about this, I was very weary as to where the story was going to go, being that this is a rebooting of the Buffy universe, especially being in the Dark Horse universe of comic books. It continued on the story from the TV show. This reboot has many of the same elements of the original TV show, but going in a slightly different direction. This starts up with Buffy already being in Sunnydale, but she's working at a fast food restaurant. She meets Xander and Willow right away, saving them from a vampire, but it is a completely different circumstance as to how she's saving them. Also in this universe, it appears as though Buffy already knows Giles, and they've been working together in secret. Another fan favorite of Anya is already introduced in this as well. We're not really quite sure whether or not she's a shop owner or a demon, or maybe she's something else. I am happy that the story quickly establishes there is going to be a bond between Willow, Buffy, and Xander. I love that there's a little cameo of Firefly in this as well. If I'm correct, Buffy and Firefly are part of the same universe, being that they're part of Boom Studios. Not that Boom Studios really does any kind of crossover that's something like this, being that these two are completely different, and I don't see how they could possibly cross over, but the idea is on the table, and I'm glad that's a possibility. The issue is quite simple and right to the point, but it does have everything that I would think the first issue of a rebooting of Buffy the Vampire Slayer would have. So I will absolutely continue on reading this series and hope that maybe the new storyline, whatever direction they may take, will be something that we're familiar with, but at the same time will be completely different. But that's it, that's my comic load for this week. What did you guys read? Leave comments down below and let me know. With that, thank you guys for watching me in this video. Check out my Patreon site when you get a chance. Check out my social media sites, my websites, and everything else out there. Peace, love, namaste, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.
Always win. He's a prominent figure.
I did read the Dark Horse Buffy the Vampire Slayer comic books up to about season 8 or so. I really didn't get as into it as I thought I would, and I did like the characters and some of the development, but I really feel as though there were certain elements that they could have put into it, or at least explored a bit more, and it just felt as though it wasn't really the same thing.